Hello, this is Mr. Mabrey, and we are going to take some notes on DNA. The first thing you guys should know is if we haven't already, we're going to be making some candy DNA models. It's super fun. Just take some marshmallows, some candy, some toothpicks, and some paper clips, and it's a great interactive way to understand what DNA is and to have something cool to hang from your ceiling. So if we haven't done this yet, know that it's coming up. So to jump into DNA, this is your first time in the public school system. You probably talked about DNA, and we're not going to go into too great a detail. I'll leave that for your high school science teachers. But there's some really neat things that we need to understand about DNA so that we better understand how we came to be in terms of what did we get from our parents and what can we expect to pass on to our kids. So the first cool thing to know about DNA is, what does it mean? So DNA gets its letter from the components that make it up. And those components are known as deoxyribose nucleic acid. I know it's a mouthful. You'll probably only use those words to impress people at parties. But you can see we've got a D and an N and an A. And so that's why most people truncate this long word into its acronym. And what DNA is it's a genetic blueprint for the cell. And we're going to learn how all of the instructions for making a person are encoded in this itty bitty tiny strand that's inside every single cell. Well, in order to understand how DNA is a blueprint, you need to know how it's put together. And it's put together by things called nucleotides. A nucleotide is a single piece of DNA, and it's made of 3 different parts. And the best way to understand nucleotides is to understand peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. What's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Well, it's 3 things. It's peanut butter, and it's jelly, and it's bread. And without those 3 things, you don't have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And in the same way, you need 3 parts to have a nucleotide. You need a sugar, which are these S's right here. You need a phosphate, which are these P's right here. And you need nitrogen bases, which are here in the middle of the DNA strand. When you have one of each of those things, you have a nucleotide. Over here we have one nucleotide right here in this corner. And then we have another nucleotide right above it, right here. And if you work your way up this side and down this side, you'll see that there are 6 nucleotides on this side and 6 over here. And that's how you make up a piece of DNA. You build it one nucleotide at a time. Now let's talk about the overall structure of DNA. DNA has been described as the genetic code. Let's back up. The genetic code for DNA is found right here in the middle. Okay, so this is where we get those instructions to make brown eyes versus blue eyes, or dark hair versus blonde hair. Now you're wondering, well, what's all this right here? Well, this here is your backbone. This is the support, the strong scaffolding that protects this code here in the middle. And without your sugar and phosphate backbone, the nitrogen bases would probably be more damaged to separate, which isn't a good thing. Another way to describe DNA is to call it a double helix. Double because there's 2 strands, one on this side and one on this side, and a helix because of the twisty shape of DNA. Now I want to talk to you about the nitrogen base pairs. You'll notice in the middle of the DNA that A's always go with T's and G's always go with C's. And there's this interesting pairing that happens in the middle of the DNA where those nitrogen base pairs meet. And the way that we talk about it is to say that they are complementarily paired together. And a way to understand complementary base pairing is to talk about what soda goes with. I tend to think soda goes really well with tacos. And popcorns complement movies. And popsicles are what I want to eat on hot days. Which is why we can say that, chemically speaking, adenine really wants to complement thymine, and guanine complements cytosine really well. Because at the end of the day, those atoms and electrons are connecting and pulling to each other, which is why we say they're connected to each other. Well, guys, that's all there is to know in 8th grade for DNA. Know your parts, know the shape, know generally speaking where that code is, and then we got a lot of things we're going to build off for that. Look forward to building those DNA models with you guys soon. Take care.